It's my 4 o'clock hour where I'm calling my class Jesus and the Way of Everyday Enlightenment. And I've flirted with that name and played with that name for about forever. I have so many different names I can call this. But I am sticking to right now, Jesus and the Way of Everyday Enlightenment. But before I go into that class, I want us, because it's a small group of us and the way things may turn out growing and how I'm seeing it, these groups and these classes are going to become really large. So we're large for this space. And I'm okay with that. I'm open for it. I'm doing it for people to come to it, even though I like really small, intimate spaces. So we can do stuff like X, Y, Z, like we're about to do right now. Is really briefly, if you don't mind, just sharing your name and just tell us why you want to come out to this event today. Just keep it as brief as possible. There's no pressure. Just your name and why you came out. We'll start in the back.
My name is James Davis, and I came out, of course, just to basically support and to lift up this sort of ideology, belief, awareness as I step more so into it myself. And I must say, so far, we're here at the Jesus point. I gotta say, I'm already blessed. So yeah, that's why I came, but I'm glad I'm here.
Oh, hi, I'm Chastity Melvin. I'm here to support my brother Adam Melvin. Jesus rocks.
Okay. Hello everybody, I'm EJ, and I'm here just to pick up any little bits of knowledge that I can here and there.
My name is Macy, and every time I come to Adam's sessions, I always feel so much better about myself and just about, my growth as a person and evolving. So, and right now I'm going through, a bit of a crossroads, so I wanted to just soak in some of the energy that I get from coming to his session. So that's why I'm here today.
My name is Orion. I'm here because I'm a lecturer and also to offer support to my fellow lecturers and just enriching and enhance the vibration of this activity that's going on right now. And yeah, that's why I'm here.
My name is Teray, and I came to learn as much as I can to raise my vibration.
Awesome.
I'm Jackie, and I am here to raise my vibration.
My name is Terrell, or Terrell. Whatever you feel comfortable calling me. Actually, I'm here just to lock certain parts of my DNA with this knowledge, because this is bigger than me. You know what I mean? This is something I need to pass on, just for generations to come, and I just need this as soon as possible.
Well, hi, I'm Kimberly, and I'm here to support Adam and this movement, and especially the message of Jesus. I know most people, especially me or whoever, grew up in the church, have been churched and heard this message about Jesus and what he was here to do. But I know that Adam has a new message about Jesus, and what he proclaimed was Christ consciousness, to show you that you are God.
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to use it as an introduction too. Thank you so much. Well, yes, I do have a new introduction to talk about Jesus, and I want to ask the question: when you hear that name, Jesus, what comes to mind? What do you think of? Be honest. Be honest. Huh? You cringe a little bit.
I think of Michelangelo.
You think of Michelangelo? Why Michelangelo?
Because that's where you get that whole image from.
Get it?
Before I associated it a lot with an association to a religious institution, specifically Christianity, which I've never really been a religious person, so in a way it was kind of like deterring me. But now I embrace Jesus much more in my life because I understand the true message that isn't misconstrued by humans throughout the ages. So,
anybody else want to share? What definition do you assign to Jesus? And you just blurt this out, you have to say. Is he a prophet to you? Is he a savior of the world? Is he a wise sage? Is he a fifth dimensional extraterrestrial being? So who says he's a great prophet, a wise prophet? Who would associate him as that? Okay, the Son of God. Okay, okay, very good. An enlightened extraterrestrial being from another dimension. Okay, this is good. Just a regular human who has been misdiagnosed as divine. Okay. Anyone who does not believe in the fact of a historical Jesus. Okay, good, good. All right. How many people will consider themselves Christian, born again Christian? Okay. All right. Well, I am going to talk about today and for the rest of this class something that is so overwhelmingly, to me, important, but yet not talked about. And that is this being, this individual who has dominated history more than anybody ever has. Dominated our history for 2,000 years. Whether his message has been misconstrued, whether it was a lie, whether it's a story, whatever it is, it's dominated the entire earth on almost every corner in some form or fashion, good, bad, evil, whatever. It's dominated it for 2,000 years. Why has one being, why is that name, why is one story, why is this whole thing dominating, captivating, polarizing the entire world for so long? What was it about this person? And you would think that with so many people, 80% of the world or 75% of the world call themselves Christians and followers of Jesus, that you would be able to go to and you would automatically know what are the three big teachings of Jesus, or what are his big teachings. Yet nobody could tell you what the teachings of Jesus is. Now we could tell you Paul's teachings. We could talk about Martin Luther's 95 Theses. We could talk about the Baptist church beliefs, but what did Jesus teach? What was Jesus' core teaching that he came and he told his disciples, go ye therefore teach all nations what I've taught you? What did he teach them? That he was the Messiah? We don't need 3 years to teach somebody to be the Messiah. I mean, that's just, here I am, the Messiah. 3 years? What was it that made him say, if you stick to my teachings, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free? But what was his teachings that can make a person free? And free from what? What was it about him that brought him into so much conflict with other religious leaders, to the point where they thought it was better to save their nation by having him crucified? A teacher, not a political rebellion, not an activist, but just a healer and teacher, very gentle, meek man. But yet, what was so dangerous about his message that made them say, yes, we know that we are killing this man, but it's better for everybody on the earth to kill him? What was that was so hostile? What was in that message? What was in this? Why is it 2,000 years later, this message is still floating around in some form or some fashion? So in this class, I want to talk about the revelation of Jesus, okay? And the revelation of Jesus is a practical, everyday enlightenment. So what is the revelation of Jesus? Well, before I get into the revelation of Jesus, I want to do some background information just on religion and revelation in general. So religion is composed of there's three types of religions. There's primitive religion that evolved just out of our animal instinct nature. We don't understand something. We don't get why something is what it is. So therefore we create some ritual, primitive instinct about it. Hey, this time last year, the river flooded. I think there's an angry God because so-and-so, when they lit their fire in their house, This time they built their fireplace in a different place, and I noticed that the river flooded. So obviously, there must be a God who, or some spirit who did not like that fire been on that side, so therefore they caused the house to flood. And notice their house is the first house to flood. So now we're going to create this, out of those primitive instincts, we are going to create some type of fear, some type of formulas. So that's primitive religion. Primitive-based religion, it just deals with a lot of animism and stuff, just instincts and stuff like that, just based on our ideas. Then we have what they call a institutional, a version of that evolved religion. And this is where, over a few years, you know, maybe that same tribe and that same origin, a wise shaman or a gifted being comes and begins to say, it's not that the guys with the spirit river was angry. There isn't really a spirit river. There is a spiritual, monopoly of gods. And there's a river god, and he comes and he creates some stuff and adds a little bit of revelation that he's observed. And he says, believe it or not, y'all, this river floods every 5 years because my great-grandfather, who lived to be 55 years old, made the observation. You know, 55 is a long time for the origin of humankind. So when you don't live long, that's the shortcoming. When you don't live long age, you know, you don't really get to realize stuff happening in cycles and patterns. But this wise person did. Maybe they noticed it. So they become a shaman, and they create a whole system. All right? From now on, I need y'all to bring in 10% of all y'all offerings, and we're going to build this altar. I'll conduct it, and we'll appease not just the river god, we'll appease the rain gods, we'll appease the forest gods, and we'll live and we'll be happy, and nothing else bad will happen to us. He creates a whole system, and then something happens, and they modify it, maybe 100 years later. Then that gets modified, that gets modified. And so now we see primitive religion evolve into some type of institutional religion. But through institutional religion, the period that lasted throughout the earth, there are moments where individuals rise up and they say, I don't think there's a river god. Or I don't think that that god is, that volcano is actually a deity. I think it's just the earth trembling. And people say, you know, and they're like, I'm telling you, I don't really think that what we think is this. And they say, matter of fact, I had a vision, I had a revelation, as the Tyler movie Medea character says. And they have a revelation which they did not get from primitive instincts. So evolution, so religion evolves in two different streams. It comes from just our animal instincts of our fears. You know, someone may have again, you go back to the tribe, you may have a nightmare about the chief that's dead. But you talk and you find out the next morning, so somebody else had a nightmare about that chief. So now y'all know for sure that chief is still alive and haunting y'all and causing whatever it's causing. And that can evolve its own religion. But again, so you have that stream of primitive religion that's growing and evolving. But then over here, you have these beings that's getting this divine insight in Revelation. And they're saying to people, it was revealed to me that the earth is evolving around the sun. And people are saying, this person is foolish. You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense to us. And they say, well, I don't know how to explain it to you, but something captured me up in this vessel. And it took me high up in the sky. And I was able to see glows and stars. And this person has a revelation. And some people respond to it in their spirit. And they say, this person is right. And then this person may say, I'm telling y'all, there's just one being. And we can't even put words on him. He don't have a house where he can be dwell within. And so throughout the history of the planet, you have these beings and these people come and they upgrade the already existing primitive evolved religion. But when they come, they can't just come straight out and say, your river god is made up. First, no one can receive them. They'll be laughed at. So they have to upgrade it and say, well, the river god obeys the forest god. And then maybe 100 years later, like I said, somebody else is going to say, well, it's the river god and the forest god, but then there's a sky god that they're all up under. But every revelation, every evolution is continual upgrade, a continual upgrade, a continual upgrade. And these beings have come all throughout history with the revelation. So again, if I had a diagram, you would see a stream over here called the primitive evolved religion, and then coming from divine, these revealed revelations being interspersed with this evolved religion. And that's where we get our religions come from. Well, when Jesus came, he came to, and he said, I've come. One of the things he did claim that he came to do was to reveal the Father. So that's what I mean when I say Jesus came to reveal, to give us a revelation. He came to reveal to us something that at that time the world had not yet fully grasped. Contrary to the popular thought that Jesus came to produce and manifest himself as a deity to be worshipped. That was not, if you go back and study the gospel, that's not what it was. He came really with one clear message. I just come to show y'all the Father. That's what he said. You know, that's where this big one, the exclusive titles of Christianity is, that they say, well, Christianity can only be the religion because Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the way to the Father. But if you go back and read that whole context, his disciples, after 3 years, you know, they had hours, they would spend a whole day listening to Jesus teach for 3 years. You mean hours of class that is? 3 years, seeing him in the most intimate spaces, the most intimate lectures. I mean, hearing him discourse on everything under the sun. The Gospel of John says, if we wrote everything he said, I am convinced there's not enough books in the world that contain everything that he taught us. That's a lot of information. But at the end of those 3 years, they still say, what are you showing us? When he's about to die at the end of the cross, and they say, we don't know what you're talking about. We still don't know. He says, hey, y'all, he says, I come to show y'all the Father. I'm going to the Father. That's where I come from. His disciple Philip says, you know what? I've been here 3 years. You've been talking about all this stuff. Hey, how about this? Will you just show us the Father? Just show us this Father you talked about for 3 years. He says, hey, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And if you know there, you know where I'm going. And they say, show us the Father again. That's when he says, it's the famous line, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one can come through the Father but through me. That wasn't a claim that Christianity is the only way. He's saying there's only one way that you're going to see the Father. There's only one way you're going to experience the Father, and that is through my lifestyle, through this life, through this faith that I have demonstrated to y'all for 3 years. This faith that I've had of dedication, of total dedication to doing the Father's will, this living in alignment with the laws of cooperation of nature, this is the only way you're going to get to experience this Father who I've been revealing to y'all through 72 parables as we have recorded. There's 72 distinct parables in the Bible. All of these parables have to do with him trying to illustrate what the Father is like. And the Father was what Jesus revealed to as deity, or God. And the important thing about Jesus' faith and that revelation of the Father was, we take it for granted now. You know, I was on the megabus last night, and this lady, she ran in late, and she said, and they were really late, and she got there, and she said, whoo, we almost didn't make it. And she was shaking her grandchild. She was like, thank you, God. And she just said, thank you, Father God. And I said, so we grow up hearing this Father God concept all the time. But on the earth, when Jesus appeared 2,000 years ago, that concept was so foreign. Not as God as a father, but God as a personal father. And to be even specific, Jesus actually in his native language, he used the word that we would be equal to daddy. And he used it quite frequently and quite often as daddy. He really made himself the Son of God. It was his truth. From his perspective, from his worldview, this being was his daddy. You know? And every analogy that he taught, that he preached, that he showed was trying to get you to see deity, the supreme being, as a daddy. As a daddy. With the idea being that if humanity, if each individual could become friends with this supreme being, that evolutionary religion has always taught them to fear. Whatever the revelation was before that came, it was always something that made you fearful. Okay? Whether it was Moses and the mountain trembling, you know what I'm saying? Whether it was Abraham and God being an angry God for him lying. Whoever the vision was, always something that made a person fearful of deity. The Isaiahs in the Old Testament did this thing of, you approach the Lord with fear and trembling. You know what I'm saying? He's a whirlwind. He's a volcano. He's a fire. Something that made you say, like the children of Israel say, you go talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Moses came back from the mountain. He told people, you want to go talk to God? They said, no, we don't. You know, so you can go talk to him. But yet here comes Jesus with this illustration of he is a daddy. And with the idea being, if humankind can release their mind from fear of deity, if they can release their mind that they are put here on this earth by themselves, with no support, with no friend, with no care, like a fatherless and motherless child, they can begin to release that and put them in that childlike sense of faith and dependence that their heavenly daddy takes care of their needs. They can begin to release their minds off of what they don't have, release their minds off of their wants, and begin to turn their focus to their fellow neighbor, who also is their father's child. And he knew that this would be the only way to evolve a civilization and to have lasting and world peace. It was a simple concept, but it has a humongous effect, because he couldn't go in 2,000 years ago and just start talking about consciousness and enlightenment and evolution. You know, he couldn't just go in and start just breaking down the silliness of Judaism and whatever it is, or he couldn't just go in and start explaining the laws of the universe. But what he could do, which is still relevant today, is there is a being that really has your back. It is the creator of the universe. And because of that, you can release all of your anxiety, you can release all your control, you can release all your worry, and you can put your total 100% surrendered faith that this being will take full care of your every responsibility. And that freedom of saying, wait, I can just chill out and just relax and just trust that everything's taken care of, it gives you this sense of feeling loved and supported. And I have done enough tarot card readings in 2 years to know that the number one thing that everyone wants to experience is love. I don't care who you are. At the bottom line of it, you want to feel loved. And your soul wants to feel loved. So there is another amazing concept, a reason, a benefit of revealing to humanity this concept of this father, this daddy, this agape love. Because once you connect with it, not only does it release you from stress, release you from worry, but it also fills you up emotionally inside. And now with that fill up inside, as he told in one of the parables of stories, with the famous parable of the lady at the well. This woman came to this well and said, Jesus, give me a drink. And it was a little sexual conversation. It started off because she was a woman that obviously was by herself at a time where there was no one there. And in this culture, women do not go out by themselves. It's dangerous. It's just dangerous to be accompanied out and about with primitive people coming through. But this woman is there by herself, and Jesus' disciples leave him because he's tired. And this woman comes up and he says, give me something to drink. And so she knows what time it is. So she says, you want something to drink? And so she says, well, how do you say to me, give me something to drink? And you a Jew, and I'm a woman. And she knows Jews do not talk to anybody outside their race. So this is her test. So then he says, well, if you knew who it was and who asked you for a drink, you would ask me, and I'll give you a drink. And so she says, okay, I like this game. So she said, this well is deep, and you ain't got nothing to draw with. And so he says, if you drink from this river, this well, you'll be thirsty again. But if you drink the water I give you, you'll never thirst. She says, well, tell me, where can I get this water from? Tell me more about this water. And then he stops her and says, go get your husband. And then she stops, she buttons up her top blouse, you know. I'm adding some color here. And she says, oh, well, I don't have a husband. Well, then he says, matter of fact, I know you don't have a husband. Matter of fact, you've had 5 husbands, and the one you with now is your husband. And now she really is like, well, excuse me, you must be a prophet. You know what I'm saying? But if you so mighty and you so prophet, you trying to read me, let me read you. Why do you Jews worship in the temple and not over here where we supposed to be worshiping that? And then the conversation goes where he says, boom, I tell you the truth. That's not important. What's important is that the Father is seeking worshipers who worship him in spirit and in truth. And she's answering, he's revealing the revelation of this is how you get this water. And she is that perfect example of our human soul. So the word soul, Greek, is psyche, which is where we get psychic, psychology from. It's a feminine phrase, and it means it's the inner essence of mankind. It was known as psyche, the psyche. And it was a feminine phrase, and that's where we get psychic and all that kind of stuff from. So in the ancient world, whenever they were reading a story of spirituality, anytime a woman appeared, that always was symbolic of our soul, of us as a soul. That's why if you go back and read the Old Testament stories in the Bible, they're always referring to Israel as a harlot or as the adulterous wife. But the soul is always seen as a feminine essence. So in this story, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story of our own thirst of our own soul and all the different things we go through. But in that analogy that lady was using, Jesus was also, with that story, is also speaking of the 5 different types of evolution of religion. Okay, so here we go. We try this. Boom, 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 boom. That's the first husband. That don't work. That leaves us thirsty for more. Okay, I don't mess with them anymore. Okay, I don't do that type of, I'm gonna go to this denomination. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Nope, that revelation don't work anymore. All right, you know what? Them people all out. I'm gonna go over here to this church, to this ministry, to this religion because they have the truth. Nope, I'm still hungry. I'm still thirsty. So then it leads to this 4th one. And they're like, this is the new age metaphysical. This is the real truth right here. Once I get this, I'm really gonna have myself quenched in my thirst. Now we immerse ourselves in new age, new thought, metaphysical study, and we're still lacking. And now we just give up. Now we just like, I don't even care no more. So now we just dibble down on all kinds of stuff. And that was the lady on her 5th husband. That's why when Jesus said, where's your husband? I ain't got one. She wasn't really lying. In her mind, she basically saying, I don't really consider that much of a husband. So that's not really working for me. So it's not just in religions, but it's all the different things that we try to do to substitute that inner thirst. Well, it's going to be the job. This job is going to get it. No, it's not. You know. Well, this is going to give me my happiness. No, it's not. Well, when we can get these corrupt cocks off the street and out of the world, we'll be fine. I'll be fine. Nope, that's not going to do it. Well, when the economy, when Hillary Clinton get in office and fix and get clean and get everything, that's going to be it. Nope, 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 nope. Nothing external is going to satisfy you and give you peace. Nothing can do that. Nothing. No determination of any type of learning and knowledge. It has to come from within you. And so in this message, in this revelation, his whole order of things is he's trying to give you a high truth, a high revelation, something you can connect to in your soul level that can fulfill and sustain your soul. And when your soul gets fulfilled and sustained with an experience, your own experience of the spiritual world, of deity, it has to be experienced. He says, he told the lady at the well, the type of worshipers the Father is seeking, worship in spirit and in truth. It's personal, it's private, you may not even tell anybody, you may not even know anybody, may not be anybody else on the same experience with you. Spirit and truth, meaning it's something personal and relevant just to you. This is why he told the lady, don't worry about worshiping in Jerusalem, worshiping on this mountain, because the time is coming now where every man will be worshiping within himself. And it will be personal and private to him. But what it will do is, it will give you such a level of peace, such a level of fulfillment, that you can really begin to release and relax from your worry and your concern. And anybody knows about the basic of the law of attraction and metaphysical study, you are constantly creating your reality and your consciousness. So if you can already begin to feel in your life, I'm supported. I am provided for. And not just knowing it, but you can begin to experience this supernatural love take place in your heart. It can sustain you. And that sense of sustainment, that sense of peace, that sense of understanding, that sense of all is well, when you put in what Dr. Rochelle and Orion teach about law of attraction, what do you think you're going to manifest in your reality? What do you manifest out of that state? More love, more joy. Your outer world is going to begin to reflect what you feel inside. But the way there is to go inward. The way there is to have some faith on something higher than ourselves. That's the reality, that's the revelation. The revelation is you've got to get mankind. He got to reveal to us there is something greater for us to believe in. Something higher than ourselves that's taking care of us, that's supporting us. Because it's a lot of pressure when you find out that, especially when you learn these laws of the universe, they can be overwhelming. And Ryan mentioned earlier today, it's really overwhelming when you realize you are the creator of your own reality. And you are. But when you can release and relax and understand that there is a deity that gives you grace, that gives you mercy, and it's a personal deity, like a personal wants to know you one-on-one. One-on-one understanding. You can call it mother, you can call it mama, you can call it daddy, you can call it diddy. But when you can get that one-on-one connection, it begins to fill up right here in your heart chakra. And when your heart chakra is open, and when your heart chakra is feeling connected, when your heart chakra is feeling fulfilled, and you're not thirsty, you don't want anything. And when you can release yourself from your wants, now you can begin to really, really enjoy and live life. Because the universe is already going to respond to you. Dr. Rochelle said something really beautiful today. She says, our desires are coming to let us know what we want is manifesting, or what we need can come. So she was saying there's a distinction between desire and want. Want has that struggle with it. Desire is just something up in you saying, hey, I would like to eat some ice cream later today. It's just a desire for ice cream. But the more you want it, the more you start pushing it away. If you can just be okay with your desire and know, as Jesus told the disciples, whatever you ask for, know already you've received it. So with a certain faith in a higher power, with a certain faith that you're connected with that higher power, when those desires come up in you, you can automatically release it knowing, as Dr. Rochelle said, if I have this desire, it's somehow going to be met. I don't know how it's going to be met, but I'm not even worried about it. And when you can just let it come up and don't have to worry about trying to suppress it, don't worry about how to figure out how to make it happen, just trust, I'm just going to take action. I'm just going to stay submitted to day by day, going where I need to go, being led, being in touch with spirit, and things are going to manifest. Your life becomes amazingly magical. You have a peace that sustains you because you always know everything is working out for my good. Everything is working out. Whatever you need is going to be required because you have this confidence in this higher power that you feel like you're intimate and you're one with. That is the essence of the pure Jesus teaching in its form. And it goes simple like this to summarize it up. It's faith. It is faith in a higher power, okay? It's so much faith that you are willing to do whatever needs to be done in that moment, even to the point of going to a cross, okay? The point of the cross, we've been taught, and it's a good teaching, I'm not even on the front, it's very powerful, it's sustained European civilization and Western civilization. Jesus' disciples taught that Jesus died on the cross for the sins of the world. Okay, that's not what Jesus taught. And you go back and you won't see it in his teachings. That's what they taught about him. He died on the sins of the world. But if you understand his revelation of God the Father being love, you will understand, wait a second, this contradicts. Why would God the loving Father desire to kill somebody innocent for some lost children? Matter of fact, why would he even be angry at some children? So think about it this way. If any one of y'all has children, think about a child, and you range from the ages from 2 to the oldest being 6 or 7. Okay? Which in my eyes, that's the most we can appear to God. The oldest, the most mature being, I'm talking 6th-dimensional being, the most we can appear to the eyes of God is a 7-year-old. If the God deity is who we say it is. So imagine you have children ranging from 2 to 7. Tell me this, what could any of those children do that you want to banish them forever? No. Could there be anything they could do that could offend you where you would say, get out of my sight, I never want to see you forever and ever? Could there be anything?
Take someone's life.
Huh?
Take someone's life.
If they take someone's life, if your children kill somebody,
Yeah.
you would be angry at them? You would want to banish them? Probably, maybe, or maybe not, because one, you'll see their children.
Yeah.
One, first of all, you only see them as children. You only see their, whatever they did, you understand they only acted out. They were only acting out some other process, some other, as to use Dr. Michelle's term, some other virus that had got put into their system. They can't be blamed for it. And so this is the analogy, this is the revelation that Jesus is trying to come and trying to reveal. There is no angry deity trying to punish a sinful mankind. Matter of fact, mankind isn't even sinful, it's just evolving up. There's this illusion that happened throughout history through primitive religion, an evolved religion that somehow saw, and there are, I'm not going to front, and this is I'm diverging here, but there are two distinct civilizations happening on Earth. There's a civilization that's high and mighty. There's records of it. But there's also records of the origin of cavemen and people evolving up. So in our school of thought, my school of thought, I have taken on the thought that there are advanced civilizations. How they got here, I don't know. I don't want to go into it right now. That's what this class is about. But that's not the origin and evolution of humans in general. So, but because of that misnomer, it does not appear that we have come up from primitive apes, cavemen, animals, killing each other for just the craziest thing. Any day could be a day to die. You know what I'm saying? You could just stumble in the wrong tribe. And they can't speak your language, you ain't got the same tribe marking they got, they only got one solution. They better kill you. It was a death sentence to walk into the stumble in the wrong tribe. That's why in that story, Genesis illustrated Cain saying, somebody may kill me if they see me. He didn't have any tribal markings. He would go out into the world, he could be killed. It was a very dangerous thing to be banished from a tribe. It was very fearful. There was no sense of communication and peace and joy. Humans were naturally gregarious, but they were also very, very, very afraid. And if you know anything about fearful people, they will take your life because they're trying to protect their own life. Okay? So we've evolved up and up and up and up and up. Archaeologists now and ancient people who do research will say grandchildren, loving and taking care of their grandchildren is new within the last 2,000 to 3,000 years. Maybe lesser than that. And for civilization after civilization, you didn't care about your grandchildren. Okay? You barely cared about your child. You know what I'm saying? And you were trying to get rid of them as soon as you can. The affection wasn't there like it is now. We can't imagine it now, but you go back and you follow ancient civilizations and you'll see, like even in now certain primitive indigenous tribes, they do not have the same affection passed down to grandchildren like we do. That affection just isn't there. Because when your mind is on survival, when you are in survival mode, when you do not know how you're going to get your bread for today, when you do not know how you're going to survive a winter, and all you can think about is survival, 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 you do not have time to be caring about some more little children inconveniencing you in your survival, especially if they're girls. And we know the history with women on the earth. So with all that being said, somehow though there's this illusion that tripped in that said that we fell from grace, that somehow we started out really perfect beings. And again, there are some civilizations with those high qualities in there. So most civilizations, a golden age, a Garden of Eden, and I do believe in those things, but I don't think that that's the stream of our human ancestors. So because of it, the Father, God, and Jesus looking at it as, look at the journey we've made. They're seeing us making progress. We're looking back at our history and saying, we've fallen down. Somebody did something evil. Some woman, it had to be a woman. We have to blame a woman. Surely she did something evil. Somebody did, we forgot something. We missed something, but we've fallen. And because we've fallen, we must do something to get back up. But that's not the way deity is looking at it. Deity is looking at it as slowly increasing. Even now, people are saying the world is getting worse. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Yes, cops and there may still be racism. But guess what? I can travel to the South and not fearful of getting off this bus or my life may be in danger just because of my race and my color of my skin. You know, yes, things may not be improving drastically, but it is drastically, drastically, drastically improved over the last 100 years, 300 years, 400 years. Think about women's rights. I mean, just think about where women have come on this earth to now. It's only getting better and better. Do not buy into this theology of we've fallen and we've gone back to something, we're trying to get back to something, we're only progressive. And this is the view of Jesus and the Father looking at us. So therefore, there is nothing that needs to be atoned, nothing to be sacrificed, nothing to be burnt. All that needs to be do is just more dependence and faith put on the Supreme in that revelation. So the story of the cross gets lost because we see that as something that Jesus had to do. We see that as, well, the Father made him come to die on the cross so he can save the rest of us from Satan. But even that story sounds so weak. Wait a second, the deity of the supreme person of the universe is about to lose his creation? And so in order for him not to lose his creation or get his creation back, he got to go in and ransom his son? This is from our own primitive, evolved imaginations. And so, if you really believe, and I am going to challenge your faith today because you came to this class, if you really believe that the God whom Jesus revealed, that loving Father required his innocent child to die for more innocent children on the cross to be tortured, you have totally missed the message of Jesus and you missed the power of that cross. Now, what we do see is happen is a man who is so aligned and so surrendered to his path that even if that path says, if you stay on this path, buddy, you are going to die on a cross. You think you surrender, you better give up your surrender right now because it's foolishness. And he says, not my will, thy will be done. I am only surrendered. I don't know how this is working in my favor, but I am not deviating from this path. And that path is saying, if you stay on this path, you are going to die. And he says, well, I am so surrendered to this will that it must be part of the plan for me to die. Somehow or another, it will be, and if it's not part of the plan, I am so convinced of my Father's power that even in that will work out in my favor. That's powerful surrender. Because think about even now, the situation we feel like, well, if I do that, that could go wrong. This is saying, just keep moving. Even if it's the wrong choice, your Father's so powerful, they can make it work out in your favor. They can turn that imperfection into something that can be perfected. If you just keep moving and stay surrendered to the plan. So the point of that story, that illustration, is that surrendered faith, no matter what, even in the face of death. Because that's what gets us off our track. We have a vision. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this move. We start moving that direction. And then one thing happens, like, you might lose your job. Oh, never mind then. You know what I'm saying? I can't bear that. Oh, you might somebody might say something to you about this. Oh, never mind. And never just keep moving through it. Keep moving through it. Did he know what was going to happen? He was psychic. I'm sure he could see it. But the idea was that, wait a second, if I stay to this path, I am going to die. So do you give up now? Does he give up now believing in his faith that he can be rescued or something will work out? Does he now give up after all these years of teaching and showing his disciple, this is the way, stay surrendered, stay surrendered? Does he now all of a sudden in the face of death say, never mind y'all, get your swords ready, get it, I am not going down like this. Even though knowing, even in the midst of knowing, everybody's going to look at him like a fool. Even in the midst of knowing this is going to look bad. Like this is going to look like this is a mistake. Even knowing I'm going to be deserted by my disciples, this is going to be an ultimate ruin if I done this cross. Somehow he said, I don't know how this is going to look good for me. I don't know how I will come out and be remembered in history through this. Because I know my disciples are going to leave me. I don't know how my message will get out. But somehow I just trust that even if I die on this cross, it still can be used in some type of favorable way. So he surrendered to it. And now 2,000 years later, we're still talking about him. It didn't end the movement. It actually did work in his favor. Most historians will tell you that if he probably would not have had that death on that cross, that movement probably would have ended. It probably would have just phased out. But it actually, something that seemed so horrible, it seemed so torturous, it seemed to be the very thing that's going to end this whole thing, actually is the thing that brought it more. And the story of that is, when you have that faith, when you have this inner sense of trust, of loyalty and peace, you can just keep moving through your life. And if all the things that seem like this is going to kill me, this is going to take me out, this is going to put me off, if you stay surrendered to it, it's going to be the very thing that you're trying to avoid, that you think is your death, it's going to be the very thing that's going to bring you exactly to where you want to go. It's going to bless other people. So you see faith, surrender to that faith expressing itself as love, and that love manifesting in service to other mankind. So it's faith expressing itself through love, and that love manifesting in service to mankind. And that is the essence of the next few weeks. What is that faith? How do we take that faith expressing itself through love that turns into service, and how do we put that in every single factor of our daily life, in our intimate relationships, in our work, in our health, in our life, in every little interaction that we do? How can we apply this faith that expresses itself in love in a daily service? How can we stay surrendered in that faith where we can stay filled up in our heart, we can stay surrendered that we're taken care of in a way that begin to transform us, release our attention, release our worry, release our anxiety, to make myself available to be of service to other people in a way that can still bring me joy and stay surrendered in the face of all of these things that come up and say we're going to die, we're going to die. And so by studying those teachings, studying those parables, going into those stories, looking at that revelation is going to begin to expand our revelation. And basically it's just revelations of God, or the God the Father, to show us that we are taken care of. That you can really give 100% faith that the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. I mean, you may get that intellectually, but if you can really actualize that the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want, you're led by green pastures, you're led by still waters, your cup runneth over. When you can stay in that space in every day of your life, when you're having hell at your job, when you're just convinced your family's going to ruin something for you, when you're just convinced that you're not going to be happy over here, if you can just stay in that space and keep moving, you're vibrating higher, and as you go, you're taking other people with you. And that is the path of everyday enlightenment. It's staying in that surrendered faith that no matter what so-and-so is doing, I'll have my needs met. No matter how crazy this world gets, no matter what's happening in the government, in the politics, no matter what they're doing over here, it's this sense of, I am going to be taken care of. I will have my needs, my core needs met. I do not need anybody else to have my needs met. I don't have to be worried about what so-and-so didn't do. I have to worry about so-and-so not showing up. I don't have to worry about so-and-so trying to send me this. It's this total sense that you can be you can give everything over, that now it makes you available for service. Because now you can totally serve another person. Because all your needs are met. You don't need to do anything for ego gratification. You don't need to not do anything to not be embarrassed. So we're driven by these two things. We're either trying to do something that's going to make us feel more satisfied ego. We're seeking those ambitions. Or we're avoiding things that we feel like is going to harm our ego. I don't want to go around there because they're going to look at me funny. I don't want to go do that because that's what we talk about. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I want to be put up. So you don't need either one of them. So if something requires you to go where you may not be seen, you may be ridiculed, you can go because you don't care. You know that you're well inside here. So you can go over here to this corner and be ridiculed. But there may be somebody that you need to serve. There may be somebody you need to bless. Or your blessing could be coming through there. Okay? Let's say you want to go to the other extreme. It's okay if people exhaust you up. And say, oh my God, Adam, you're the best speaker ever. Oh my God, this is so cool. That's okay. You don't respond to that either kind of way either. If it comes. But you just walk in the middle. And if you're pushed over here, you can go. If you're pushed over here, you can go. And you're just staying surrendered. And now your life becomes balanced, it becomes equal, you become fulfilled, and you become a life-giving spirit wherever you go. Because you don't need anything from anybody. You don't need anything from life. And those are the best people to be around. You know what I'm saying? We all want the friends who don't really need us for anything, who are just our friends, right? That makes the best friends. Those are the best people. The people who you do not need anything from. Those are the best relationships. The people who you just know they don't really need anything, but they're going to give you their undivided attention. They're going to be there with me because that person has something in themselves. They don't need you for anything. And it releases the whole world. And if one by one of us have this faith is contagious because my faith is going to inspire Jackie. And she's automatically going to start having that same faith. And then that faith is going to inspire Tabanda. And then that is going to inspire Tari. And everybody's going to start having this faith, and it's going to be a contagious faith that we're going to be our vibration to raise because our mind is now not focused on this earthly world, not getting something or afraid we're going to get something we can't handle. It's just all that fear is released. And if all that fear is released, it's only love. We can just keep giving. We can keep serving out of love. And it starts with that, putting that revelation and putting that focus back on something that's higher than ourselves, something that's greater than ourselves, so we can continue to affirm in the midst of crisis, in the midst of conflict, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And let that cup fill us up in the inside, knowing that externally we're going to be taken care of, and that water inside is going to sustain our inner needs. And that's the revelation he was trying to show all of humanity. He was trying to show them that and get them connected on it. You are taken care of. You are loved more than you can ever believe. You do not have to worry. You don't have to fight. You don't have to be angry. You do not have to engage in all this stuff that you have years thought you have. That's the golden age. That's the age of ascension. That is the society that we will evolve into, or we will become extinct. And it starts with just beginning to connect them at the revelation and begin to apply in every single little area of your life. And that's what these next few weeks will be about. Okay?